Welcome to this episode of Craftsman David. Today we're going to be replacing an attic stairs. This one is original to the house, very old. You can see I've already taken the trim off, and now we're going to get down to business. So first I'm going to talk about how to measure to figure out what size stairway to buy as a replacement. So these stairways come with a frame that the actual stairs is mounted in, and then if you can see right here, this is the actual 2x4 of the house. Then there's a gap that's going to have shims in it, and then the stair itself. When you buy them in the store, they are listed in terms of what opening size they came in. So this one here, if I wanted to measure correctly, I don't just measure from the inside of the frame of the unit. I actually have to get under this little piece of plywood all the way over to the stud, and then I can measure across. So this one is 25 inches wide, and I've already measured the other side. It's 54 long, so that's the size stair that we bought. It's just marked 25 by 54 in the store. So I'm very fortunate to have a standard one. Now you'll notice that in this one, the plywood that they put up here as sheathing in the attic overlaps the frame of my door. So in order to get my Sawzall in to cut all the way around and get the nails out that are holding this in, I'm actually going to have to trim this plywood back to where the stud is, because otherwise the blade of the Sawzall is just going to hit that plywood. So let's do that first. I'm just going to whittle it away as I've done here. I've cut this flush, about flush with the 2x4, because, but now I'm going to do a plunge cut to start the cut on this side. And I don't have a line or anything, I just have to kind of estimate where that is, and it's acceptable for house construction work. That might not have been far enough, but I can always cut away a little more. I'm just going to break it off by hand. And yep, looks like I need to cut a little bit more. But I'll just keep whittling it away all the way around until I get the frame flush with the boards on the house, the studs. It's a little bit crude, but it's what I have available. To get these corners where the circular saw couldn't reach, I'm going to use a Dremel tool. I've got a rotary cutting bit installed on there for wood. For removing the stair, the easiest thing to do is take a Sawzall, get one of those blades that's for wood with nails, because that's what she'll be cutting through, and then cut all the way around the perimeter until you remove all the nails, and the thing's just going to drop out. But in order for it not to drop out of my head, I'm going to cut the nails out on each end first. I'm going to screw a board up to temporarily hold it in place, so that after I finish cutting it off, it won't drop down. So I can go ahead and put a board up. To make it easier installing this, I'm going to start these screws on the ground. Kind of envision where that stud is. See that? That was for you lefties. Okay, now I'm going to cut this side free. I can actually see the nails here. The gap is so big. Now I'll put one up on this side. Yeah, that did it. Beware when you cut with a Sawzall, your blade needs to be long enough, because that's what the issue was. The blade didn't go all the way through, so there was one nail at the top that it wasn't reaching. The longer blade, we got it. The bolt adder's ready for Craigslist. So if your carpentry skills are about on the level of mine, you sometimes make mistakes, which is what I did here. I was up there and I didn't realize that the plywood that my feet were sitting on stopped. So I accidentally kicked a crack with my weight in the drywall here. So I'm going to show you how to fix that. What I'm going to do, because the rafters are running this way, one on each side of my hole, I'm going to take a tie, put it crossways, and then put another tie between this stud and that one that I'm going to put my cross tie, and then I'll be able to run screws to brace this drywall back up and eliminate this crack. And later on we'll be able to mud over those screw heads and it'll disappear, hopefully. And here's the piece that we made to fit in there that we're going to use to brace this broken piece of drywall. It's going to fit in there just like this. And then this wide board, we just had a scrap laying around, and it's perfect because it's nice and wide. We'll be able to brace that crack on all sides, plenty of surface area to hit with screws. So I've got my 3 screws holding it there, then my piece of brace wood here, and I've got it screwed in from either side. So now I'm just going to run screws up from the bottom to brace the drywall. Hopefully we can push it up. Just remember to use your head in these situations. And there's post fix. I was hoping the gap would close up a little better, not to show those cracks, but we'll have to fix it later with mudding. And just be aware before we put the new one in, go around and clean the frame. And also there's some nails left by the Sawzall that you got to get pulled out so they don't stick into the new frame. All the way around. So here they come. My assistants are going to lift the ladder into place, locking me in here with it. Okay, so I'd like to get this ladder square in the hole, and in order to do that I want to measure the diagonals, but the issue I'm facing is that the ladder interferes with me getting the tape onto the edges to actually measure the diagonals. So instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to get it square best I can, and then I'm going to temporarily shim it and support it, and then we'll open it up and I can get the final squaring measurements from underneath to see how close I came, and I'll make adjustments. It's going to be a process. Now I'm flipping the hinge side around so the hinge is actually coming up on my end, and my issue I'm facing is that this header on this side is not square with the 2 side headers, and that side is square, but I am bound and determined to get the hinge on this side, so I put in shims and I'm going to put screws in and temporarily support this side now that I have it approximately square. Okay, so now what I've accomplished is I have shimmed this side and screwed it to the header, and over there in each corner I have put shims and screwed it in. Here's a better look at my temporary shim on that side and on this side. And now I'm going to ask the people downstairs to remove those temporary supports so that I can actually push the door open. Oh great, I guess they're getting bored down there, they're vacuuming. Hello, family, can you let me out? They don't hear me. I'll have to wait till they're done vacuuming. It's hot up here. Family, let me out! Okay, they've removed the supports and the obstructions and the temporary supports on the ends. Should be able to just push it down, and they'll be able to help me pull it down. And now I can get out. Yay! Okay, so I've been down, I'm back up, and this corner is just a little low. It's not quite flush with the ceiling, so I need to take this temporary screw out. They'll push it up, and then I'll put a second one in. Okay, so I put one screw on this side, and I put one leg screw in on this side. I had an issue with the door hitting this shim right here when it went up, but my frame was square. So that meant that my header up here was not square with the frame, and I have corrected that by slowly tightening this side and loosening that side until it went up and the door hits square now. So that's how to solve that problem if your door is not hitting the frame square but your frame still measures square. It's where the hinge is. So now I can go ahead and drill and screw in the rest of these. Before I do that, I need to find shims that are exactly the right width to stick in here behind these last 2 screw holes here and here. And don't forget to put the leg screws in the side brackets. And with the additional leg screws in the wood next to the ones that are in the metal plates, this should be all ready to carry a load. Note that every leg screw or screw you put in must have shimming behind it to keep it in the right spot. Here's a look at it from underneath after it's all bolted in. Now I just got to trim the shims and put the trim back up and trim the ladder to length. I had kind of a big gap on this side, so I found some boards the perfect thickness to stick in here as my shims. These wouldn't be structurally necessary, but it's nice to kind of close up this gap a little bit to help us get the trim in the right place underneath. And yes, I did change clothes. Now we have to cut the ladder to the right size. The booklet that came with the ladder has a chart, so all I have to do is measure from the floor up to the wood frame, and it has a chart to tell me how much to cut off. Okay, so I measured from floor to ceiling 107 inches, and my manual says to cut off 18.5 inches. That'll give me something to cut, guideline, to cut with my Sawzall. So the way that this works is it comes with little feet that are angled at the same angle as the ladder. So after I cut it, I'll be able to put the little foot on, and it'll give me a little bit of final adjustment before I drill through and attach it. So cutting aluminum, the metal cutting blades work real well. Since this is thinner, I'm using a finer blade. This is actually 24 teeth per inch. Yeah, that's one side. Made the cut. Hopefully it's the right length, otherwise we're going to have to take the ladder back. Now with the ladder extended, I can put these little feet on that'll complete it. The feet are coped at the right angle so that they actually hit the floor correctly. This is going to take a little bit of judgment on the part of the homeowner to make sure that the ladder's got to look straight. These gaps need to be closed, make sure that it's all the way extended. And then just see where the feet fall, and wherever they do, that's where you drill the holes and put your bolts in. The key is to drill one hole and put your bolt in. That way your second hole is always in the right spot. Okay, with the feet on, I'm going to cut the shims off. Just going to use a handsaw for that. And I always think it's best that the installer take the inaugural climb, make sure everything is fit. If you're a heavier installer, you might want to rethink this step. And now, I just got to nail the trim up. A few more nails and I'll be done. Thanks for watching this episode of Craftsman David. Stay tuned for future videos and please subscribe. Talk to you later.